Well, good morning. Welcome to another village walkabout here in Lanzarote. We are here at the northern end of Arrieta. So behind me is Punta, and today we're going to walk through this village, show you what's here, have a look at some of the houses, some of the nice places to eat, and right at the end we're going to finish up with my favourite beach on the island, and I'll explain why when we get there. So this was originally a classic little fishing village, Arrieta. Now very much residential, with a number of VVs, viviendas vacacionales. Now, many years ago, when our kids were young, we lived in Arrecife, and Arrieta was the place we came to every weekend. We'd spend the weekends here on the beach, and then a big crowd of us with all our children in tow would go and have a meal in one of the little restaurants on the front of fresh fish on a Saturday or a Sunday evening. Happy days, lots of great memories for me of Arrieta. And then years later we moved to Punta. We had a small boat of our own, so we would go out on the boat at weekends and often anchor off Arrieta Beach just to sort of swim ashore and have fun, basically. This is a lovely promenade to walk, or pavement to walk, between Punta and Arrieta. I'd urge you to do so. You can see all this lava here. It's low tide at the moment. This is nothing to do with Timman fire. This lava came from Monte Corona about 5,000 years ago, so it predates Timman fire by a long way. And it was that eruption that caused this lava to flow down to the sea, and also created the Atlantida tunnel, which goes through Cueva de los Verdes and Jamios del Agua, and it's the longest volcanic tube in the world, apparently. Quite a few of these frontline properties have been renovated in recent years. And they've gone on to the holiday letting market. There's another kind of small complex there. Absolutely frontline, those apartments. They're called Callao Beach. Now, it's not a rule, it's a convention that seaside properties have their windows and doors painted blue on the island. Although, as you can see, these are not following the convention on my left, they're green. And green is supposed to denote country areas. And you'll see in some places brown ones, which are, as part of the convention, aimed for urban areas. This was something Manrique came up with many years ago. And as I say, it's not a rule, it's not a law. But it is a convention, and most people choose to stick to the convention. Now, we're going to hang a left here because we get to some places of real interest. And the first is the doll's house, which is actually called Casa Juanita. And it was modelled on a doll's house, which is why it's called that. It's a very sad story, but also one with some inspiration in it. I've done a video on that, so if you go to our channel and just look for the doll's house, you'll find out the backstory of why that was built in the early part of the 20th century. It's a beautiful place and a real landmark on the island. And right next to Casa Juanita is a very small beach. With protection from the waves, as you can see. As I say, it's low tide at the moment. Normally the tide is up to the white stones there. which just leaves a very small beach that people can enjoy. We also have a cracking restaurant here called El Pisquito, which is owned by Ricardo. Ricardo also makes wine. He owns the Bodega La Garita, and all the wines that they make are made from grapes grown here in the north of the island. We often enjoy a lunch here. As you'd expect, super fresh fish. Has an inside area and this sort of patio which opens up. Got a nice dock here where you can set people ashore from your boat, and also a sheltered bay with moorings in it where you can moor it relatively safely. A lot of fishermen choose to, and fisher ladies, fisher people, I don't know what the right phrase is, choose to fish from here. It's a really good spot, and they either take their catch home and eat it or sell it to one of the many local restaurants here. There's a public slipway here as well, so you can slip your boat into the water there. Anyone can use it. It's quite a steep one though. It's a bit of a challenge to get your boat down into the water from there. And I just need to correct myself, Ricardo's restaurant is not called El Pisquito. I don't know what I was thinking when I said that. It's actually called El Charcon. So Restaurante El Charcon. And I remembered that as I was walking this way, because just around the corner here we've got El Pisquito, which is actually a small tapas bar, kind of hidden away around the corner. Great for a tapa and a caña when you're out for a walk. So that one is El Pisquito. These small boats you see sort of knocking around all through Arrieta tend to be tenders for the boats that are moored out in the ocean. There's a super cafeteria there called Sensaciones, and we're back on the main drag now, by the way. North diving have been going as long as we've lived on the island. They tend to take people to Charca del Palo for diving, which is a really good dive spot with lots of reefs and caves. Now those are 3 restaurants in a row here. Los Pescaditos, the fishermen, El Marinero, and La Nasa. La Nasa is famous for its paella. And then across the road we've got the newest, which is Azotea. And they have a lovely roof terrace you can sit at and enjoy a cocktail while the sun is going down. Sort of fairly early morning at the moment, and a lot of these places are just beginning to open up. A little shop there called Tabasco, which does clothes and all sorts of trinkets. And right here, if you want an Instagram photo, we have the Arrieta sign. And then we come to 2 more restaurants, El Pasito. Now all of these have got terraces which open out onto the sea, and next door Amanecer, which is our favourite. We go there often. We tend to have whatever the freshly caught catch of the day is. And in fact, if I go down this alleyway, you'll be able to see the terrace and the proximity to the ocean. And there it is. So you've got the view of the doll's house and of course the sea. Now, I'm not going to go up there, but you can walk up those side streets. They are mainly residential, but there is a Sociedad up there which has a really big hall. You can go and do yoga classes and attend events there. And as with any Spanish village worthy of the name, we have a shop that sells tickets to the lottery, which is kind of a general supermarket but also an official lottery shop. I've just walked a little way up the main road into Arrieta from the roundabout to point out this, which is a fast charger. So if you hire an EV while you're over here, you can charge your car up there while you're enjoying some time on the beach. It's also free of charge. The electricity charges are paid for by the Cabildo. So anyone can rock up there and plug in and get a free fast charge. The houses in this village tend to be duplexes, as you can see. They don't have a lot of land with them. They're kind of built pretty much on top of each other, although there are some larger independent villas, but not that many. And over on the right here we have La Artesana, which is a pizza place, and they make absolutely fantastic pizzas. You can either sit outside and eat them or phone them up and come and pick them up for takeaway. So we're going to go back to the main road we're walking on now and go around to the beach, which, as I said at the top, is my favourite beach on the island. Pointing out this barranco, which passes under the road, and it takes rainwater that falls in the hills and channels it out to the sea right here. We've had very little rain for a few years, so it doesn't look like it's been flowing particularly well. When we do get a heavy downpour, that really does flow, and when it does, it takes all the vegetation out of it, so it kind of scours the bottom of it. There's a fairly large car park here if you're going to the beach that you can use free of charge. I've always loved this house on my right because it's beautifully planted, although that palm at the end could do with a bit of a trim. And that's quite a big place and very close to the beach, as you'll see in a moment. So this is where the lifeguard lives that keeps an eye on the beach, and we've got one of those outdoor gyms here. And this is Playa La Garita. So why is it my favourite beach? Well, I think it's because it's got pretty much everything. It's got nice sand, which is comfortable to be on. When it's calm, as it is today, it's a super bay to snorkel in, particularly if you snorkel around the legs of the pier there and along the side of the rocks here. It's also a beach where you can do some what I call proper swimming. So starting at the end of the pier, you can go right across the bay. It's almost a kilometre there, and then you can come back to make it 2 kilometres, or you can do laps of it. And when there is when there's wind in the right direction, it's also great for boogie boarding because you get some quite nice waves. Not very often, but word always goes out when there are good waves down at Arrieta. The surfers come out, and I tend to come down here with my boogie board. Let's just walk around the corner. This used to be the main car park for the beach, and it was always chaotic. People hanging around waiting for a slot. So I think it's quite a good idea that it's now been turned into a kind of play area with a basketball court and a small football pitch. What I do really miss is the tapas bar that used to be right here. And it was fabulous because you'd come up from the beach and grab a beer or an ice cream or whatever you wanted. Bit of a sad story really. It was discovered that it had been operating there for 17 years without the appropriate license or permission. when the Ayuntamiento of Arrieta came to speak to the owner to say, well, we need to find a way to legalise this, he said, nah, I'm not going to bother, I'm retiring. The Ayuntamiento have said that they are going to allow another concession, but they took the existing building down and said they would build a new one. That was a couple of years ago now, and that hasn't happened, and to be honest, I suspect it never will, which is a bit of a shame. What we do have here is this lovely little area with an old Volkswagen Type 2 which serves excellent mojitos. In fact, there's their menu. Mojitos, lots of different types of beers, gin and tonics, and you can just sit here in this kind of sheltered area with a bit of shade from the trees and look out to the sea while you enjoy a sundowner. And right next door to it is the toilet and shower block, which is very nice and very spacious, and run by a lovely lady who keeps it spick and span, so you can have a shower on the beach afterwards. And if you need to use the loos, they are here. And finally, as I walk across the toilet block, that's looking down into it, there is Restaurante La Playa, I think it's called from memory, which is right on the ocean front and again serves fresh fish. I've often felt a little bit hurried when I go there. That's my only criticism of the place, so we don't tend to go there that often, but the food is good and the position is superb. There is a car park right next to it, and you can access that from a turning on the main road. But please don't make the mistake of crossing the solid white line to turn into it in either direction or turn out of it. And the other thing you can see in the distance there with the tent sort of peeking over the top is Finca de Arrieta, which is owned by Lanzarote Retreats, and they have sort of luxury yurt stays available there, and they're extremely popular because you're literally just a walk across the main road to come to this lovely beach. The other thing I'll mention while I'm here and before I sign off is centre of the frame right now is Arrieta Garage, and it's the gas station immediately before the roundabout where you turn into the village. It's absolutely brilliant. I mean, they literally do everything there. They've got obviously gasoline, they've got car washers, they have hoovers, they have a full hardware store and a decent sized supermarket that sells pretty much anything you could ever want, and it's open every single day, and you can 9 times out of 10 you can get whatever you want from there, so it's a real resource for this part of the island. So there you go. Hope you've enjoyed my walk through Arrieta, one of my favourite places on the island. Just to give you a feel for it, it's been just under 2.5 kilometres from where I started at the far end of the village to where I am now. So by the time I get back to the car, it'll be about a 5-kilometre walk, and a very pleasant one it is too. And of course, if you're doing it on a visit to the island, you can enjoy the walk, perhaps have a swim at this end to cool off, and then go for lunch in one of the restaurants. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed that. Don't forget to give us a like if you did, and to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Bye for now, everyone. Bye.